Hi guys, my name is Adnan Hasbi and I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Funny Finance Guy. First and foremost, I'd like to wish you guys very good morning on this beautiful Sunday morning. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about fear and how fear actually stopped many of us in taking action. For this little episode, I'm going to talk about some fear which I'm facing. That way, when you guys can see how I'm overcoming all of these small little fears, you guys can actually take some of the solutions and put it on your investments or your daily life. So how I got the idea for this episode was that I have received a lot of questions with regards to whether the brokerage is a good account to open, whether this stock is a good stock to invest in, whether the timing is right. And I think all of this question actually stems from us being very fearful of making the right decision or making the wrong decision. So for me, I want to come out to you guys and tell you guys the fear which I always face and how I actually battle all of this fear in order for me to, number one, create this YouTube channel, and number two, help me with my investments. So to tell you guys the truth, when I first started this channel, or when I first started focusing towards YouTubing, that was back in January or February. And at that point in time, my first episode was when I started YouTubing more seriously, was about the glove sector. And at that point in time, as many of you guys can see, the glove sector moved up quite just a little bit. It was not that big tidal wave. It just moved up quite a fair bit. And I'm very embarrassed to tell you guys that I actually found out this particular trend back in January when the gloves barely moved. And to tell you guys the truth, I was so fearful that I might give the wrong advice. I was so fearful that I may make the wrong investment. I was so fearful that I was timing the stock, my buying wrong, that I was already buying it at a peak. But having said that, looking at the glove prices today or during the past couple of months, we could have seen that should I invested in gloves back in January, the returns would have been 900% or in some instances. And I'm really embarrassed to say that one of the reasons why I did not enter the glove sector was I was very fearful. And that is the same fear which I'm sharing with you guys. And, you know, I want to tell you guys, even I have fear, even though I've been in the industry for many years. The second thing which happened to me is that I think you guys could also see that this channel has been talking about AirAsia a fair bit. And I actually got the idea of creating AirAsia or looking at the AirAsia stock back when it was 50 cents. And yeah, again, I'm embarrassed to tell you guys that if I had invested at AirAsia at 50 cents, it went up to $1, I would have made about 200%, which, yeah, for that, I'm a bit, I have some regrets not being too afraid. And I just want to share with you guys that, sometimes what we may have in our head or in our intuition, sometimes we going against contrary or going against what the hive mentality thinks about may bear some dividends. And in this case, we could have seen in two cases, if I went against the hive or if I moved a little bit more with a bit more certainty, I could have made a little bit of money. So that's my second regret. And I think one of the reasons why is that right now, a lot of us, I guess, being born in this part of the world, Asia, we tend to listen to mom, dad, friends, family. We tend to listen to so many people around us. And sometimes to make a decision, it's so difficult. And I know this. Even at this age, I still listen to mom, dad, relatives. I have that particular habit which I have in mind. But to tell you guys the truth, had I had I become more braver, I would have already achieved quite a fair bit. So I think, and another reason is being in being in the analyst industry, or being an analyst. I remembered every time when I made a buy call, fund managers will ask me, why was my earnings forecast like that? Have I looked at the top down, the bottom up? Top down is like, look at the economic situation and see whether my call actually holds in place. So fund managers will ask me so many questions from so many different directions, and sometimes they could be a bit testing, whereby they will ask me a question out of nowhere, and I had to be able to answer all these questions. And don't get me wrong, I really love the training of being an analyst, and I really love my financial models being plotted at. But having said that, I built this thing in me where every time when I say something, I want to make sure that I say the right thing, and I will question myself 100 times before making a different decision. And I think that actually hampered a lot of my progress. To tell you guys also the truth, I actually have a KPI of creating 1 episode per day. But in actuality, and you can see the results, I actually create only 1 episode per week instead of 1 episode per day. So why am I telling you guys this fear, and how I've been struggling with fear? Very simple. Right now, I have been trying to fight that fear bit by bit. And I realize that every time when we fight that fear and we expand our I guess that circle of how I'm trying to find the words. There's this circle where we are most comfortable with, our comfort zone. Yeah, when we expand our comfort zone, what will happen is we can actually enjoy new experiences, and when we enjoy new experiences, we can get new results. So today, I think one of the reasons why many of us don't make that much of money is fear. And from the questions I've been asked, we can see the questions. The first question I've always been asked is and as you guys know, I made an episode on opening an account on Rakuten. I have many questions on people asking me whether Rakuten is a good trading platform. And to that, my answer would be this. My answer would be, I think if you are a long-term value investor, you probably buy in maybe a couple of stocks, maybe a couple of trades in a year. So, for me, the trading platform is not much of an issue, if you ask me. The thing is, we don't do that many trades to begin with. So, you could see that, yeah. So that's the first thing. The second question, which I always get, is whether the timing of the stock is right. And for that, I want to tell you guys this. I'm going to tell you guys the very truth, which is no one can time the market. Gosh, when I made an episode on the political changes, no one knew that a relatively senior politician is going to come in and announce that he has a majority support and the government may change. No one would know, even though when it's so difficult right now. Our life is dynamic. So to time the stock, I would say it's next to not that possible. So to answer that question, none of us can time that stock. Having said that, however, I would like to suggest this particular investment trick which I learned, which is every time when you see a stock which you like, buy it in small increments, buy it in small buckets. Assuming if the stock price would go down further, you can always buy it at a lower price. So that's how I solve my timing issue. If I like a stock and I think the management is strong and I think the stock has been unfairly sold down, that's where I start my first tier of investment. And as the stock price continues going down, I would increase my investment on that particular stock. So market timing, not the most possible thing to do. The third fear, which I always hear from people, is whether this stock is the right stock. And for that, I would say that we always have this tool of researching top down, where we look at the economic situation and we see whether there's a trickle down effect on that particular stock. And you know, from this channel, I always do a top down. I have not done a bottom up, and I talk to you guys with regards to this. And one of the reasons why is we need to know whether there's a strong demand. Only when we know where the stock has a strong demand, then it's worth the time to do a bottom up. At least in my point of view, I think time is very valuable, and we should focus on stocks which are clear winners. And that's one of the reasons why you can see me doing a lot of top down, but I seldom do bottoms up. One of the reasons why is I want to find a good investment. But even though, but having said that, you could see that even in one of my episodes on my Rakuten buying a particular stock, I bought this particular stock called Perak Transit, and it was 18 cents. And that was the top down which I've done. And the stock actually went up to 32 cents, and that would have given me a 77% return within 2 or 3 months. And unfortunately, like I said, I was a bit fearful that the stock price may go up, and I never sold it. And I think I'm coming out to you guys and trying to tell you, even I have insecurities, even I make mistakes. Even I don't get my calls right, you know. Sometimes I even make calls on particular stocks, or I find a particular stock and I say I don't have a view on that particular stock. And that stems from me being fearful I might say the wrong thing. So I think the final bit which I have to say is right now, let's focus on what is the bottleneck, which is really stopping us from taking that first step. And know that if that first step is very difficult, take a smaller step. And if that smaller step is impossible, take even a smaller step. In today's episode, I shot this episode in the morning on a Sunday. I always believe in this. Number one, if it's too difficult, make it very simple. And just make it now, just distill it to the most simplest step. And number two, always do the most important thing in the morning. That way, the rest of the day would be great. At least I've done the hardest thing in my mind in the morning. So that's the other thing. And the third thing, I just want to share with you guys on a more personal note on how I'm actually trying to fight the fear and increase my comfort zone is number one, I want to be aware of all my weaknesses. Only when we are aware, we can work on our weaknesses. Number two, we can always Google this information and take small little steps. And number three, just always practice on a daily basis on how we can get better and better. So yeah, I just want to tell you guys this. I thank you guys so very much to be on this live episode. And to tell you guys honestly why I even have very erratic times I have live episodes is I'm fearful that I may say the wrong things, my glasses may fall out, or my shirt may fall off. Yeah, and if I had about 100 people watching that particular episode, it's really silly, but that's the truth. And I think moving forward, I want to actually record more frequently on a daily basis, number one. And number two, I want to actually have a schedule. That way we can meet each other much more often. I know today's episode is not about talking about investment in stocks. I know it's not talking about my views on the market. But know this, even though we have the best investment in the world, even though we know that particular stock may go up, like me, if we are fearful, chances are for us to take that first step or to take action, it's very difficult, if not impossible. So what I want to tell you guys this, whoever there's you, that person watching this episode, and also the future viewers, is that if the step is too hard, break it down even simpler, and always focus on that harder step, or the step that will move you towards your success earliest in the day. That way, the rest of the day, we will feel that we have achieved something. So, like I said, moving forth, I want to record one episode per day. But I think next week, I'm just going to record maybe 2 or 3 episodes. And as time will go on, I want to actually record more often and to be out with you guys and to bounce ideas. And moving forward, I'm also going to have a schedule. So with that, guys, I'd like to thank you so very much for watching this particular episode. And remember that every time when we fight fear, we increase our comfort zone, and that's where we can get better results. Okay, guys, with that, have a great Sunday morning, and also have a great rest, and always keep on hustling, always keep on reading, and always trying to make more money. With that, take care, guys.